Okay, so on this one, wanting to solve by the quadratic formula. So I'm going to write it out here. 5x squared minus 15 equals 0. So how do you solve an x squared equation? Well, there's a couple of ways, but we're going to do it with the quad. So step one, get a 0 on one side. And for us, it's already done, isn't it? Already done. So we don't have to do anything. Step two, identify A, B, and C. Now, what are A, B, and C? Well, let me help. Really, this is A, and I don't know if you know it, but this is C. B equals 0 because it's missing. Does that make sense? B equals 0 because it's missing. And now I know you might think, well, Mr. You say when it's missing, it's 1. Well, there's two different situations. I say if there's a plain X there, if there is a plain X and there's no number in the front, that means 1 because there's one X there. But we have no X's there, don't we? No X is present. So that's 0. Remember, B is in the middle. B is the regular X, which is supposed to be in the middle right there, and it's missing. It's supposed to go X, it's supposed to go, like 5x squared plus, 3x or something minus 15 equals 0. You're supposed to have an X in the middle, right? It's supposed to be X squared, regular X, and then no X, but it's missing. This part in the middle is totally missing. So that means it's 0. If something is completely gone and missing, the whole term is missing, then he is 0. In this case, B, the middle, is missing, and so he is 0. If you just have a regular X that's there, that means 1X, but if you have no X at all, that's 0. So, all right, so then we come down and we're going to write ourselves the quadratic formula. That's step 3. Oops. Is you do the quadratic formula. So I'll do that. So that's negative B plus minus square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Like that. And so let's do it. No. So it'll be, now remember when you plug into the quadratic formula, plug in with parentheses. Now B is 0, so I'm going to plug in 0 there and 0 there, which is a little weird, isn't it? Negative 0, which is just 0, plus or minus square root of 0 squared, right? Weird, huh? Minus 4 times A. What is A? A is 5. Right here, A is 5. For A and C is negative 15 all over 2 times A, 2 times 5. A little bit weird there. So that equals, what are we going to get? Well, negative 0, that's just a weird way to say 0. Plus or minus, and 0 squared, that means 0 times 0, that's just 0. And now, here's a part that can trip up some people. Negative, positive, negative. Notice 2 negatives equal positive. So that's going to be positive. And then just multiply on your calculator. 4 times 5 times 15. It's going to be 300. Positive. Positive. That's a common mistake people make right there, is they don't get the sign right. Are you seeing how I did that? Just count the signs. If you have 2 negatives, they're all multiplied together. And this negative belongs to that 4. That's his baby. Any sign in front of a number, that's his baby. So we have negative 4 times positive 5 times negative 15. 2 negatives, positive. Over on the bottom, 2 times 5 is 10. Like that. And so then what do we get from there? We get, now this 0 in the front, forget about it. It's nothing. So it's just going to be plus or minus the square root of 300 over 10. Plus or minus the square root of 300 over 10. So how's that going to come out? Plus or minus the square root of 300 over 10. So we can now simplify this and basically write it as two separate answers. So I'm just going to write two answers now. You don't have to simplify the square root of 300. I'm just going to say it's plus the square root of 300 over 10. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. That's not true. Let me help here. The square root of 300, yeah, we do actually have to simplify that. Yeah, this one is a little bit tricky. Yeah, let me show you. Yeah, sorry, there, I'm realizing now there's a trick here. We're not ready to write two answers. We need to say the square root of 300. That's the square root of 3 times 100, huh? And what's the square root of 100? 10. Does everybody see why that 10 comes to the front? Because 300 is 3 times 100. And the square root of 100 is just 10. Is that making sense? You can square root the 100 part. And that's just a 10. Why does it come to the front? Because I did the square root on that. 10 is in the front because we did it. Because we did the square root of 100 to be plain 10. Remember, when the square root does its job, then it's no longer on that thing. And so we square rooted the 100 to be 10. So that goes to the front. And so then it's plus or minus 10 square root of 3 over 10, right? The square root of 300 becomes this. And then what happens? These 10s cancel, don't they? And so the is plus or minus square root of 3. You write two answers. Plus square root of 3 minus square root of 3. Done. There we go. So that's a little tricky at the very end. You've got to take that 300 and write it as 3 times 100, and then square root the 100 to be 10 in the front, because once you do the square root, it's no longer under the root. Put that over here and the 10s cancel. So there's our two answers on that one. There we go.